Hey guys, this is Matt.
Hey, Matt, it's Patrick with UPCO. How are you?
Hi, how you doing?
Pretty good. So where are you calling us from, Matt?
New York City.
New York City. What's the weather like right now?
Cold, very cold.
Is it a lot of
Here, but
snow or
cold.
just cold?
Not a lot, a sprinkling, but definitely pretty damn cold here today. So,
Okay.
how about
In
you?
that case,
Where are you guys?
I was going to say, in that case, I won't answer. No, we're in San Diego, so we're okay here. But
Nice.
I'm from the Midwest originally, so I know what cold means at least. So that's important to say. People in California, they close work if it starts raining or something. So I'm above that
Nice.
level. Give us 1 second. I believe we have one more joining us, Matt.
Okay.
Is anyone else going to be joining on your guys' end, or is it just you?
No, just me.
Okay, good. And is my screen showing on your screen? Do you see your website up?
Yes.
Okay, great. Well, on that note, I might as well ask, is randomhouse.com your guys' primary website or domain, or do you manage a few of them?
So this is tricky. So I may end up pushing you towards someone else. So we have Random House is like 4 separate publishing groups under one house, like 4 companies, and then there's a corporate division. And so randomhouse.com is mostly maintained by the corporate division, and then the individual publishing divisions, like mine, primarily focus on websites devoted to best-selling authors and books.
Okay, no, that's not a problem at all. It just means it's not going to be as accurate as some examples. So you're
It's fine
in
to
charge.
show, though. I mean, we work on. I mean, we're well versed in RandomHouse.com. I mean, just our divisions are not so focused on Random House as a brand as much as the individual authors of the books.
Well, that makes more sense. People aren't looking for the publishing house; they're looking for that book, which you guys.
Yeah,
are.
no one really knows who. No one really knows who publishes a book. So I mean, I mean, most of we do get a ton of we do get a ton of traffic to the site, the main site. Well over well over 1 million uniques a month. But most of it is coming from the search engine to our product pages, rather than like through the home page.
Okay, no, that makes sense. So you particularly, on that note, so you deal with basically when you guys have any new entity, you're dealing with the website promotion as a whole, or how does your work?
Sometimes, sometimes we handle the websites, sometimes the author handles the websites, it varies, but we definitely do build some major websites for major brands or work with authors, and it varies from case to case, but in general, our focus is more on certain brand websites, while the corporate division focuses on the corporate website.
Okay, that makes sense. On that note, Matt, do you guys use a certain amount of analytics or web intelligence tools currently? And if so, are you versed?
Yeah, we use in general, as a corporation, we use Omniture, and then for many of our websites, we also tack on Google Analytics on top of it as well.
Okay. Is there a reason you guys tack Google on? Is it to compare and contrast the information or confirm, or is it just
No, it's
primarily
for ease of communicating data, especially to authors and agents. It's mostly, in some ways, it's mostly just the ability to pull the data extremely quickly. Even though we know that Google Analytics is nowhere nearly as accurate as something like Omniture. It's mostly just as a backup for when something needs to get pulled, or we need to, an author needs to be able to see something very easily or in a format they can understand it.
Oh, definitely. I mean, yeah, a lot of organizations are doing it basically for the non-expert view, so they can log in and kind of look at things without having to dive into the Omniture world, which is a lot more advanced. So. How about you personally, Matt? Do you have, I don't know, is your role, do you get dirty yourself in the analytics tools, or are you more top-level overview?
I do. I oversee digital strategy for our department, so I work with our marketing and publicity teams on looking at new tools, and I also oversee new product development. I basically focus a lot on analytics, less so sometimes on the website stuff and more on the social networking side, or more on the sales side, but I definitely... we certainly are always looking for different ways of looking at data.
Of course.
We definitely are a data-driven company, so always open to things that other tools cannot provide, or providing it in a different way.
What about, do you have much experience or interest in market research tools or anything, Compete, Alexa, Quantcast? I don't know if you're familiar with any of them.
Yes, depends on depends on the functionality and the cost. We have a corporate division that focuses on consumer analytics that looks at different focus group software. We do that in our group as well occasionally. I work closely with the corporate group on top of that. But yes, we're always looking for ways of getting any kind of data on our consumers as much as possible.
Great. Well, that's a pretty good opening to our conversation we're going to have. It's our primary assets. Just to give you an outline here, usually a 15-minute, 10 to 15-minute capability overview, showing you a couple of our tools live, explaining the key differentiators.
Yeah, I mean, basically a good, a good overall intro would help me determine whether I'm the right person for you to be talking to, or whether there are other people that would probably make more sense for you to give a more, in-depth look at.
Okay. Great. Yeah. In that case, I'll keep it
That'd be great.
short.
So anything, I'm definitely open till 1 o'clock. So whatever you think is best, that's great. And I may stop you along the way and ask you questions.
Awesome. Yeah, please do. All right. And just to be clear, you guys are 3 hours ahead, right? So we got 20.
Yeah, we're 3 hours ahead. We got about half hour or so.
Awesome. All right. All right. In that case, once again, my name is Patrick. UPCO is a digital marketing intelligence company. We have 2 primary assets, which is combined for our 360 real-time web intelligence. It's a advanced web analytics and visual recreation tool, as well as an exclusive search index that covers the entire internet. I'm going to spend a few minutes on the first one, about 1 minute on the second, and you'll see if it's relevant to continue talking or forward me to someone else. So our key differentiator when it comes down to analytics, I'm on Random House Inc. right now. Omniture, basically IBM's tools, Google's, all of the mainstream analytics. If I'm on your site, I move around for a few seconds. I write, my name is Bob. I delete it on the actual form. Then if I click Books page, the only record of data that's being created is the actual page load to page load. So if I go from page to page, I'm getting the path analysis of knowing where someone came from and where they went to, essentially. Right. Our main differentiator is we are storing the entire online session from a data perspective. So what that means is when you move your mouse for 5 seconds, we're storing the speed and the individual location. If I click 10 times on the left, not going anywhere, all of that is stored as a data point to be able to look up on a macro basis if we're talking about 100 million hits, or if you want to look at individual ones. And with my deeper example here, if I say, hi, my name is Bob, then I delete, we would be able to search what's the percentage of people who click delete, how clear is my message, That's the long story short, is we're going a lot deeper to capture the entire session and supplement that data.
So are you recording every keystroke?
Everything that, from a legal perspective, by default, we don't do passwords, we don't do financial information, but yeah, correct. Keystrokes, mouse movement, and also little subtleties that's usually not noted when you say every movement is, if you select data, differentiate that from deleting in itself, and so deep in there, so.
Okay.
Okay, so through that, through storing all of the action, we're able to recreate every session from your customer's eyes exactly as it was executed. And all of this is directly synced to all of our data. So what this means is anytime you see a piece of data, whether it's where someone's coming from keyword-wise, et cetera, you can click from every module of our product and watch the actual recording. So I'm just going to let this run for a couple seconds. And this, of course, would be a view from your customer's perspective of your website visitors. It's non-intrusive on the customer end. It requires no downloads, anything along those lines, and the page load speed is less than Google Analytics. So it's a very lightweight script that's basically capturing the entire session and recreating what's happening and storing every subtle difference you see. So yeah, even this case on, if you have different changes and selections on a page more than just the type data, all of this is being stored, everything you see on the screen. So if you want to use it for segmentation, targeting, market research, you can grab pieces here and there. So other quick points to mention, you have control to pause, play, speed up, and also have the ability when we click on the bottom right here is to see it from the exact resolution of your customer. So if it's on a mobile phone, you're going to see it exactly as it showed from a mobile phone. On that note, I'm going to show you a deeper mobile example because that's basically what everyone in the world cares about right now. So This example here, it's 20 seconds. It's going to show the differentiation of, if you're on a mobile phone and you're going to Random House, you're going to, a lot of cases you use two fingers. The first one is to kind of guide. The second one is to scroll up and down. In this example, orange is the first finger, blue is the second.
Okay.
I'll let it play from there. So the point being there, like the rest, we're capturing all of the subtle movements done on the client end, and we're also storing those as data to understand how long are people engaging with the site, how often are they looking at Zoom versus Flip, and of course you can see the data to justify or discover any extra trends. I have one more screen to show on a capability basis and a couple minutes showing you the practical usage. So.
Okay.
This is proprietary technology on our end. Everything with the deeper mobile sessions, this hasn't been done in any other capacity, particularly the depth of the movement. This next technology I show you is also proprietary on our end. What this is the recreation of live traffic on any specific site segment. So let's say you had 5 people actively on a site. You would be able to see all of their actions live, and you would be able to either actively engage with them, take a closer look at an individual visit, chat with them live, or just use it to take a look at specific segments and understand usability. What are we missing from the data? This can be applied on your site as a whole, regardless if that's 100,000 people. I don't know how you'd possibly use that personally or at the staff, so it's used more to say, hey, let's take a look at people from China who've made 50 purchases in the past, or let me tag one of our top publishers, and every time he visits the site I want to be able to see it to be able to service him. So it's more of a capability, particularly for an enterprise like you guys. The focus is the capability to recreate the traffic on the fly and view it as any segment. So. From this view here, from our live view,
okay,
you can click View Details at any time. And what this does is it shows a view of the entire customer history of that visitor. What this means is, here's their page. I'm not going to let it play. This is their session underneath,
sure,
panoramic view. And once again, out of the analytics, a differentiator, we take pictures of every website on the internet for the next tool, every page, so we can seamlessly integrate them for just a lot of more practical usability, as opposed to having 1,000 dashboards to figure out where someone came from, where the capability's there but not the practicality. On the top here, the biggest asset of this page, aside from seeing their history, is being able to go back and see session by session basis. You have a customer and you're trying to do analysis on their entire life cycle, you can go back and say, hey, what did this person do on February 1st? And all of this information, I'm going to keep it short for this, is all accompanied by data. You can define your KPIs and say, past purchases, high-value publisher. We have all kinds of slicing, dicing, segmentation, tagging technology, all integrated into the same data source that's capturing every movement and with the ability to replay. So. That's the long story short here. Other than this, we have the in-house capability to do any custom integrations, such as if you want customers' names on visitors you already have data for. If they're anonymous, it's going to be pre-transactional to know that same person who's almost purchased whatever your primary call to action is 10, 20 times. The 21st time he comes, you can say, you can see that he's came 20 past times, and you can also customize actions such as I want this pop-up to happen the 20th time only this visitor visits. So we can push and deliver content with a lot of flexibility using the deeper segmentation as well.
And then so besides from being able to look at individual sessions, is the data rolled up in a different way than normal analytics sessions, normal analytics tools would use?
Well, the main thing is our default dashboards look similar to theirs. That's the request we get, is to make it look, page views, etc. The difference is if you want to dig and define, such as if you, instead of wanting to define someone leaving one of your pages is what you want to look at, you could define that as when someone leaves and writes company name in the field, we're going to label that and create that as a metric using that deeper analysis. Did that make sense, that example?
Yes.
So you do have the ability.
Are there other? I guess my main question are what are the other data points that you're able to look up in here that some of your competitors would not be able to look. You would not be able to look up in some of your competitors.
Okay. Yeah. Once again, the biggest the movement. You know,
Because I think in general we would use this more for looking at rolled up data rather than try to go overboard analyzing individual sessions in some capacity. But the idea of being able to look at certain kind of data points that we can't easily get and look at that rolled up data would definitely, I think, be appealing.
Yeah, definitely. That's the big thing. Sometimes it scares, especially enterprise, when they say, you know, we're storing 1,000 times the data as traditional. The question is, how can I use it? How can I see KPIs from this? You know, how can I
Right.
we have one example listed here. I'm going to give you what we usually do. Our step one, particularly with a company with a lot of basically over 5 million uniques a month, is you would highlight the highest value portion of your site that usually involves some kind of form or some kind of submitting some sort of data, and we would internally customize the page and come up with unique KPIs that we think would be most relevant. This example here, I'll show you. I'm not allowed to show the actual client here, but we are allowed to show a fake site we made similar. In this case, a bank wanted to know their investable. They wanted to focus on upselling clients who would be choosing their investable assets on the page. They told us, use your technology to show us what we usually couldn't detect and something relevant. So we customized their page to, number one, measure the engagement time of the movement between each field so we could continuously reduce that time to, you know, obviously increase their conversion rate. And we came up with a confidence metric based on movement to say if someone made 3 choices before submitting, we're going to call them 33% confident. And we integrated a couple other analytics related to movement and hesitation. If a client waits for 3 seconds before clicking submit, in their case they have a security seal, we can label that as security hesitation. So this example is over the course of very large numbers, what the averages are, and this is what they attempted to increase on their end. So the fact of the matter is it's a customized asset. In reality, the 1,000 extra, it's going to depend on each company, but there's always a lot of options, and they usually are around form entry and submission. Because right now, you guys don't have a clue what people are typing in until they click go. So when it comes down to relevancy in all of these fields, that's usually what's going to be customized, not thrown at you as a data dump, but at least used in an efficient way.
How are you measuring the time spent on a field from the time they click into the field, they click their mouse into the field?
What's funny is we have both ways for that question. There's 2 ways. Number one, while their mouse's actual physical position is over the field, that's our default. The other way is once they click in the field, and that way if you move around on the site and it's still in the field, it's going to keep calculating. So those are the 2 defaults. And all those kind of questions on our end, we have one data source for everything we're doing. We're not integrating 1,000 different products. We created all of this in-house. So we have customization and capability to a question like that to change the global definitions fairly quickly. So last example, I know we have a couple minutes here. I'm just going to show you.
Is the main, so is the, the main websites that would benefit from this for sure are ones that are more field heavy or ones that are looking for more direct interaction from consumers. Is that right?
Yeah, anyone with a high value call to action, I would say. A call to action that requires user engagement.
Okay.
It's hard to say, really. I mean, like you mentioned, I haven't looked. In your site, any site with a purchase, with a purchase or completion process, looking at their
right. I mean, we don't do a lot of e-commerce on our site now. We offer it, but I mean, but if we were looking at other e-commerce options or websites that focused on e-commerce in some capacity, that's where you're really probably getting better insight into where people are dropping out of the purchase process.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of the no-brainer. And aside from that, I mean, do you guys focus organic traffic? I don't know if that's from. I'm guessing search engine traffic, or I don't know how much PPC you guys do, but that's probably your biggest focus.
It's mostly search engine. For this website in particular, it's definitely very search engine driven.
Do you guys do a lot of pay-per-click or all natural?
20,000 pages of different products that people are searching for primarily. So. It's a cool. I mean, it's definitely a cool tool. can I ask, and again, this may be very, very complex based on the bandwidth of the website along those lines, but how is your pricing structure set up?
It's variable depending on cost. I'll tell you, to be blunt about it, we're cheaper than Omniture, and we can do all of our integrations. I know they're probably 3 times as fast on average, but it does take build time. So average for enterprise of your size, let's say tomorrow you wanted Random House, we probably have about a 3 to 4 week window on our end, and it's probably going to be about 30 hours internally. And those are not, polished statistics. So yeah, it's an advanced enterprise product, but we have a smaller team with a lot more flexibility. And to be blunt, we made our product a couple of years ago where we used our step 1 was what's already out there, as opposed to making it 12, 13 years ago. So we're going to have a lot of flexibility, and we're also a lower price point, but we're not, $5 a month. So, but it is variable.
Is it just based on setup, or is it also based on, the number of seats and the traffic of the sites?
Our hard cost is page views, unique page views a month. That's our main metric. So basically, we're storing all this data. We need to build a custom server for any site over 1 million page views a month that we customize everything to be as efficient as possible on both ends. So that's our hard cost in each case. The setup time is billed up front. And then after that, it's a variable fee depending on traffic. So that's the long story short.
Okay. Okay. So I think that in general, it's a really interesting tool. What I want to do is I want to at least connect you with the person in our corporate team who really deals with our Omniture integration and website analytics. Because I think that, realistically, while we would use this in the divisions and we would look at different projects that we would be able to use it for, this is really meant for kind of, like you said, it's basically a competitor to Omniture and to be able to offer things that Omniture can't. And given the scope of that, I think this is definitely going to end up being something that's decided more in the corporate division. Is there any kind of either simple documentation or screenshots I can send to them before I make the introduction?
Absolutely. I'll send you a couple of short docs, and also we're recording this call if I could attach that directly.
Yeah, you can send. Yeah, absolutely, you can send that. What I'll do is I will have a call with. Like I said, I will talk to someone in the corporate team, and I will. But anything that any kind of simple thing that I can.
Yeah, it's going to be a one page
introduction.
Yeah, real simple. No one wants to read more than 5 pages.
And then I will find out who I can put you in touch with.
Okay, great. Can I show you if we have 5 more? The competitive intelligence. It's taking about 2 minutes for an overview to see if that's of interest. Are you all set, Matt?
No, you can show it.
Okay. So long story short, sites, Google, Bing, etc., everyone assumes has all the data out there. In reality, it's up to websites to get indexed in Google. They're just kind of saying, hey, if a site's worthwhile, it's going to be linked to other sites. That's when we pick them up. So a lot of sites take a month, 2 months, 3 months. Some sites don't get picked up for a while. It's estimated Google has approximately 30 million websites in their index, basically everything searchable, out of 180 million total. We're the first company to have 180 million total within a custom search engine that we deliver to companies on the basis of competitive trending and analysis. I will give you one quick example to make that more clear. So yeah, we've been building the first complete website index for about 6 years now. It's even the technology that we based our analytics product off was being able to do research in a lot more companies more efficiently. As a deliverable, the way we use this for most enterprises would be monitoring of competition to understand their traffic increases and trends and the associated social media, performance, and content effects. So let's just say that your competitor's name was BBCD. This is linked to our, this is all in-house, our database of the internet. You click on, if Dance Matt's your guy's biggest competitor, you're able to select your competitors and compare them directly. So it's an aggregation of data that's on the competitive end, basically. And practical deliverable, practical deliverable in your guys' case would be monitor competitors every week. The traffic rank increase, you would say, hey, they had 50 million more Facebook likes, they went up 30%. It's probably worth taking a look at. or on the industry as a whole, we would allow you to define your industry by keyword. We want to see other people using publishing from US, and you would be able to monitor the technological changes made by your competition and the average page load speed and any other source that's detectable, I suppose. So that's my 10-second 100-mile-per-hour spiel. So
that's pretty awesome. That's great. Is that part of the, that's all? That's not a separate. That's not a separate piece of. That's not a separate product. That's part of this product?
It's all part of the same product, yeah. We could, anything, okay. I'll tell you, you guys, once you use the default, like anything, we do have any kind of customization imaginable. We usually sit down for 2 hours, discuss KPIs, see if our default covers it, and if it doesn't, we can take any information you want from your competitors. So
that's great.
So that's why our top level, 360 web intelligence, combining both of these assets, and no other competitor we have has really thought of these concepts, but we, spent about 6 years developing these technologies, and while we're new, our biggest hurdle is just lack of experience, and we've been out for approximately a year compared to the Omniture. So even in your case, I'll tell you 70% of the time we're taking on pilots to specific segments of traffic before we're kind of showing you very clearly the added value to switch over your system. So that would be a practical next step, because I do know the time and build taken for these large-scale systems, and it's not worth someone getting fired over before using a product for a bit, so.
Sure. That's great. That's really great. So send me the data. Let me follow up, and I'll get you a contact of someone you can reach out to in the corporate team.
Okay. Matt, thanks a lot. If you have any other questions, please reach out to me directly, and have a good day.
Sounds good. I'll talk to you guys soon.